You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Oilersnation Radio, episode 98. It is game day. It is game day because this is Friday morning. It is definitely not Thursday afternoon. It is Friday morning.
We probably could have just, been like everyone got their coffee and pretended like we're actually recording this Friday morning, but no, we need to give the people what they need on Friday. Usually we record at 1, so it didn't make a lot of sense to record a podcast at 1 so it can be released at 3. An hour and a half later, it'd be like completely irrelevant.
Yeah, so here we are, Thursday afternoon. We got plenty to talk about. We're going to recap Game 3. We're going to look ahead at Game 4 and hopefully Game 5. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant out in beautiful Sherwood Park, Alberta. You can follow them and all their goings on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford _the Giant. As if you don't want to see Corio's pregame rant. As if you don't, Dan. You love Corio.
I'm a huge Corio guy since we met him on the podcast all those many moons ago.
That seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
It does.
Again, Sherwood Ford, they are here for you in terms of vehicles, service, whatever you need. Head on out to Sherwood Park, Alberta. They're there to help you. Again, Sherwood Ford on Twitter, at Sherwood Ford _the Giant on Instagram. Gentlemen, that was a tough one last night. I'm not going to lie to you. Game 3 did not go the way I anticipated it would go. However, I still think there are some positives to take away from that game. We'll get to those. But first, I want to start with what went wrong. To me, the Oilers were sloppy from the start. They got a power play in the opening minutes. They didn't even register a shot on goal. They were trying to force a lot of passes that weren't there. Rather than making some simple plays and throwing some pucks on net, Corey Crawford hasn't been lights out this series by any stretch, so it probably would have been nice to just throw some pucks on him. It didn't happen. That was followed by a, deserved or undeserved, depending how you look at it, parade to the penalty box. Combined, those two things really kind of disrupted the flow of the game, put the Oilers behind, and they were never able to get back on the rails. Rick, I want to start with you. What did you think about the Oilers game? Like, where did they go wrong? What do they need to do to adjust going into tomorrow or today's Game 4?
Well, at the end of the day, they couldn't close it out at the end, right? Like everything before that, it was definitely not a clean game. Lots of issues, but there was a point there where we were up by a goal in the third period, and all those other issues could have been washed away for the night. But we collapsed, I guess. The ugliness continued into the last half of the game and the last half of the third period, and we just couldn't finish it off. And I don't like it. It's a disappointment level from all around every member out there, pretty much. I'm not looking at one position or one area any more than the other. The whole team just, you said earlier, they needed to play simpler. And I think when they do that, they're a much better team. When they do this, it's a lot more hit and miss. And last night just turned out to be a miss at the end.
Dan, what do you think? Where did, like Rick said, they did have a 3-2 lead going into the third period. They were in good shape, but the sloppiness from the first 40 minutes kind of continued on into the third. What did you see?
Well, you know what? First thing I got to say is Kevin Biesa can shut up. This stupid nonsense that he keeps creating about right-handed face-off wins is just, it's hard for me to listen to. 2 losses in a row now. That's what they've been talking about at the end of the games. For me, Rick, you hit it right on the head. The team, and Bag Milk as well, the team came out flat to start the game. In the previous 2 games, they were able to get a goal real early, and that sets you up for success. Didn't happen this time. It was the book was written there. We had a power play again. We didn't get a shot on net. Then the second, we're lucky to get out of the first period tied. We didn't because of a last minute goal. Second period starts, and again another parade to the penalty box. Didn't hurt us in the second game. Didn't really hurt us in this game in the sense that the scoreboard didn't change in the second period. But you can't keep expecting a team to get into a flow and be on their energized, top level if they're having to kill off 5 and 6 penalties in a period. So I don't know. They shoot themselves in the foot. And then on top of it, the second game they come out and they're firing from everywhere. The shots are getting on the net. Corey Crawford, not the greatest goaltender. He has been in the past, but he's not shown that recently. They find a recipe for success, and in this game they just throw that out the door. All of a sudden, we're going to sit back on our last minute goal in the second period that we're lucky to get away with, and let the Blackhawks come to us for 20 minutes. And it was just, there was little glimmers of pressure exerted into the Blackhawks zone, but overall, just not an effort there that's enough to win the game.
You talked about flow. I think that the penalties really, really disrupted it. There was a period of 5-6 minutes when the Oilers took 4 penalties, and it's tough when you need guys to get into the game, but they don't kill penalties, so they're not getting on the ice. I'm thinking of a guy like Athanasiou who doesn't kill penalties. Zach Kassian was only played 6 minutes and change yesterday. They need to have everybody rolling, but that wasn't possible, was it, Tyler?
No, it wasn't, and it's twofold, right? So you have the guys like McDavid, Athanasiou, who you need to get him in a rhythm. You can't win games with Connor McDavid sitting on the bench for 12 minutes of the period, or 12 minutes plus, because they were shorthanded for basically 12 minutes. Athanasiou, he needs to be on the ice more, and when you take penalties like that, you kill your momentum. But also, the guys like Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins, your skill players who are relied on to kill penalties, well, they're exhausted now. They have to go out there every, 30, 40 seconds, because they're rotating basically 2 sets of penalty killers, and they got to be exhausting themselves trying to kill these penalties off, and they're not focused on trying to score goals, which is ultimately what you need Nugent-Hopkins and Draisaitl to be doing. So the penalties are frustrating, deserved or not. I mean, okay, if there's a couple bad calls and you get shorthanded 3 times in a period, then yeah, that sucks and you get mad at the rest, but you get past it. But you can't be getting screwed by the refs for 3 of them and then fucking yourself over on 3 of them as well. That Archibald penalty was terrible. The Yamamoto penalty was terrible. You can't be taking those in the playoffs. So that was the most frustrating part to me, but also it's a massive playoff game. It's an Oilers team who's coming out, they're trying to play for Colby. They're in their home rink. There should be no excuses to not be fired up and ready to go 100% the second that puck drops. And the first 12 minutes of that period, they were flat. It was like an exhibition game. So just the effort level isn't there early. They crank it up for 30 seconds at a time, but they never crank it up for 4 or 5 minutes at a time and start to take over the game. So I've said it now countless times. I gave them a D grade in game 1, a B grade in game 2, a C grade in game 3. If they bring their A game in games 4 and 5, Chicago won't win. No matter what Chicago does, no matter what Corey Crawford does, Chicago will not win. If Edmonton finds a way to play their A game or even their B plus game, I can't see a scenario where the Blackhawks win this series. Will they bring it? That's the ultimate question. It's not a matter of if the Oilers can do it. It's will they have the effort level necessary?
Well, and I think that's part of the frustration for this series specifically as well, is game 1 was a disaster. They were flat. They didn't look good. They weren't getting the saves. They weren't playing defense. They weren't connecting on passes. The list went on and on. Game 2, that was what we wanted to watch. We wanted to watch Connor go supernova. We wanted to watch power play goals. We wanted to watch a high-scoring affair with our boys coming out on the right side. And then they got flat again yesterday. And that was disheartening. If we're looking at tomorrow, or today, I should say, again, this is Friday morning at 8, whatever you're listening to this podcast.
Delicious coffee, Nation Coffee.
Please enjoy a Nation Coffee. In fact, make a whole pot. Make a day of it. If we're looking at tonight's game 4, obviously the Oilers are going to need some more energy. They're going to need some more push, some more fire, some more competitiveness. I think we'll get it. I think a guy like Connor is going to be pissed off. I think Leon's going to be pissed off. They're going to want to win. But I'm looking around the rest of the lineup. Who do you guys think kind of needs to crank it up a little bit going into what is the first elimination game of the playoffs? Rick, is there somebody on the lineup that you're looking at? You'd be like, all right, we need more from you. Crank it up. This is a huge game. We need you.
I don't. Yeah, there's one guy out there that obviously did it in 17 and sparked the game, and that was Koskinen. He doesn't have to do it by scoring goals or putting up points. Just that energy level, what he showed in 17, obviously right there, that can get the whole team going. But it's just that secondary part of this team again. I mean, it's back to the point where they just can't keep up and they can't carry their weight. We went through this at the beginning of the year or whatever when we went through all those wingers who couldn't score a goal, and then obviously somewhere in January we started to get a little more complete production levels from all four lines, and we need to get back there. We need to get back there like right away. Otherwise, we'll be waiting for December.
Dan, is there a guy that you're kind of looking at? Maybe someone that could crank it up a little bit. I kind of agree. I agree with Rick. I would love to see 2017 playoff Kassian make an impact here. And I'm not even saying, I mean, obviously you want him to score goals, but like throw a big hit, engage somebody. Kirby Doc hits Tyler Ennis, who we're going to talk about. Go out and shake him put some fear in his heart. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. I'd love to see that from a guy like Kassian. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think Rick just kind of touched on it there. And you did too, Bag Milk. It's the James Neal, it's the Alex Chiasson, it's the Josh Archibald, it's the Riley Shahan. It's whoever in the bottom six wants to come up and make this a big thing. Like, I think Archibald, time and time again in the season has shown us that he's got that little bit of a spark. He's the budget Zach Kassian. He can come out and smash some guys and get this team fired up. Athanasiou, has had some good minutes playing with his line mates, but him, Neal, and Chiasson, anytime they're up with the big boys, it looks like they're handling a grenade. It looks like they're Milan Lucic out there. And so they have to, you have to be able to elevate your game to play with those top guys because, Tyler Ennis' leg is broken. And so you have to be able to next man up, you put Athanasiou up on that top line and he has to fit in there. There was a lot of times when he did slide up that I felt like he was a one-man team. He was trying to do everything on his own and not using those guys, and then not being in the right spot for those guys to use him as well. So I think it's the bottom six, and it's whoever is coming up to help out. According to Tippett, it's a team wide thing. Leon and Connor are going to be Leon and Connor. Nugent Hopkins is going to be Nugent Hopkins. Yamamoto's out there. Yes, he's riding that line because he's taking some dumb penalties, but he's also that fiery honey badger that we've all come to love. But yeah, I think it's the bottom six that needs to figure this stuff out.
I think you're right. And I think with a guy like Yamamoto, it's not like for lack of effort with him, but like, man, I would love to see him score a goal, get a little bit of confidence, and then get that under his belt. I think that would go a long way. Tyler, if you're looking at the roster, who needs to step up for you?
I'm going to agree with Rick and say Kassian. Like in 2017, man, he just created so much energy for this team with big hits. He would score the odd big goal as well, like he did against San Jose. And it just feels like Zach Kassian's been in a fog this entire series. He's out there, he's on the ice, but he's just kind of floating around, not doing much. And when he has laid a hit a few times, it feels like, I don't know how to describe it, but it feels almost like forced, right? Whereas before, when we see Kassian at his best, he's just flying around. He's making the hits look effortless. He's everywhere. The opposing team's defensemen blink on the forecheck, and he's right there on him, riding him into the end boards. So I want to see more from Zach Kassian, and maybe he needs to get a bit of a spark himself. Maybe he needs to get his own adrenaline going a little bit. So what I'd say is, man, if you're Zach Kassian, go out there, first period, find someone, look at him, say, I'm fighting you, drop your gloves, and beat the hell out of him. Like, I think it's as simple as that, and that could help the Oilers get a little bit of energy. I think, if there's some hate in this series, it could really, and not to say that there hasn't been, because there's been some scrums and all that, but if there's some legitimate dislike here, I think that could bring out the best in the Oilers. If they play pissed off, if they play like they want to make an impact, and I'm talking all 12 forwards, not just the fourth line, not just Kassian, not just McDavid and Draisaitl. They need everyone to go out there and play like there's a chip on their shoulder, like they want to make an impact, because we haven't seen that from all 12 forwards yet, at least at the same time throughout this series. So I think Kassian is a guy who could really be a spark for this team, and I'm looking for him to do that in Game 4. They need someone to be that energy source that's not just McDavid scoring jaw-dropping goals all the time.
Dan is the engine behind hockeyfights.com. We've seen more kind of fights and scraps in this play-in round than anybody probably expected. Do you think that of the fights that have kind of happened around the league, that there is something that, to what Tyler's saying, maybe the Oilers need a scrap to get themselves going?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like not every fight has been a 6 out of 10 on hockeyfights.com this year. I would argue that most of them have been like 3s and 2s. But what it does is it just shows that you're engaged. It shows that you're popping against a guy that Yesterday, oh man, the name is going to escape me. JG Pajot, or I guess it was 2 days ago. JG Pajot is picking on Brian Boyle, a guy that's like 3 feet taller than him and outweighs him by a solid another one of JG Pajot's. But he's picking on him and he's shoving him around and he's engaging with him. You're showing that you're here to play and you're here to go. I think Tyler hit it well when he said, we have to see angry Kassian. We have to see angry, Archibald, angry Sheahan. And I don't know if that necessarily means everybody has to fight everybody, but maybe, somebody goes out and just picked Ryan Nugent-Hopkins went out and fought Sean Monahan in a battle where the 2 guys first ever NHL fight. And that lit a powder keg that started off that whole game on the right angle for the Oilers. A team in the Flames that had been pushing the Oilers around for the whole series, the whole year. All of a sudden, Nuge comes out and fights a guy, and the whole bench has to be like, "Holy shit, what's Nuge doing out there? We got to do something for him to show him that was worth it, right?" So you hope that they don't have to have a fight to spark everything, but it damn well can't hurt you right now.
I agree. A hit, a fight, a scrum, shake somebody, yell at somebody, I don't care. Whatever it is, I want to see some more engagement, just like Dan said. I also want to see you guys offer a quick round of applause for our brand new sponsor, Tourism Jasper, jumping in on Oilers Nation Radio. They are a brand new sponsor here. And we are going to be doing a pretty cool contest with them. Article is up at Oilersnation.com. It got posted Thursday afternoon. I mean, in theory.
So wait, is the article up? It's not up yet.
I'm so confused what day it is now.
I don't know what day it is.
So we can't look at it now, but when this podcast is released, you'll be able to look at it, you being the listener.
That's right.
You're asking your fellow podcasters to just trust that this contest is amazing, which I know it is.
That's correct. Our friends at Tourism Jasper, they're going to be giving away a trip for 2 to the mountains, spend a couple of days there. They've got a bunch of other prizes that go along with the getaway. It's going to be a very good prize. We're going to keep this running for a little while on our newly reacquired at Oilers Nation Twitter account. Thank you to Tourism Jasper for jumping on. Really appreciate you. Love Jasper. It's a beautiful place. Can't wait to give this prize away. I know somebody's going to be super excited about it. Back to the game, we did mention Tyler Ennis a little bit. He was announced Thursday that he's out indefinitely. He's got a broken leg. When we saw the hit, you just knew it was bad. You knew it was bad from the way first of all, I don't ever want to hear a guy screaming in pain like that again. That was obviously a very clear drawback of having no fans there and having that come through on TV. It didn't look good. It wasn't good. That's a big loss for the Oilers. But now the question remains. They got a game to play coming up. Who comes into the lineup? Who's your quick guess on who comes in the lineup? Rick, I'll start with you.
I think the easy answer is Gaetan Haas. I think he probably fits in to everything we need more than anybody else. I don't know if you wanted somebody just pure offense. I think you probably go take a flyer and just go Benson. But you need somebody who's going to be a little more able to play in any type of the game. So I think Gaetan Haas is the way you go. It's just where you put him, and then subsequently what other lines changes. That's the big question.
I would agree. I tend to think Gaetan Haas is going to come in. There's Kevin Bieksa's right-handed center.
Hey-o.
But he can also kill some penalties. He can help be another guy that can kill some penalties there. So there's a little bit of versatility to Gaetan Haas. Maybe they play him on the wing, on his off wing. Who knows? I think that's probably how it would go. Maybe Joakim Nygard. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster right now, and it's like, I don't think depth is a problem, but yeah, if you're straight up replacing Ennis, which I don't think they are, Tyler Benson's your pick. And then the other options other than Gaetan Haas are Cooper Marody, Ryan McLeod, Nygard, as you mentioned, Patrick Russell. So it's not, none of those are necessarily replacing Ennis straight up. I think you're going to find that replacement within the lineup, and then whoever comes in is playing a fourth line or a third line role for this team, and Kevin Bieksa can stop chiding us for not having right-handed face-off winners when we win more face-offs than the Blackhawks do. I don't know. The guy's hair has possessed him.
Tyler, I'm going to ask you the same question. Well, and I'm going to add the second part to it. Who comes in and where does he go?
I think if you're trying to replace Tyler Ennis, if you're trying to directly replace Ennis, you go with Nygard. He's a winger. You know, not a great scoring touch by any means, but he's going to get in on the forecheck and all that. But I don't think you need to try replace Tyler Ennis. I think you just need to put the best player in the lineup. And the bottom line is Nygard hasn't played a game since like February. Whereas Haas, you know, he was there a little bit more towards the end of the regular season. He didn't get in on that exhibition game, which is unfortunate. Maybe that leads you to believe they're going to play Russell because he's the only one who's played a game since the restart. But I'd go with Haas. And what I'd do for the lines, if you let me walk through my whole depth chart here, I'm reuniting the Nugent-Hopkins, Yamamoto, Draisaitl line. They saved the season in January. They can save the season again. Like that should be a no-brainer for me. So I'm reuniting them with McDavid. I'm going with Kassian and James Neal. I like what Neal's been doing on the forecheck, so I go with that trio. I like the look of the third line if it's Athanasiou, Sheahan, and Archibald. But what I would do here is I might honestly pull Sheahan off that line, and hear me out. I pull Sheahan off that line. I put Sheahan with Chason and Kara, and I'd have Kara on the wing, and I'd have Haas centering Athanasiou and Archibald. Why, you ask? Because I don't think Gaetan Haas is going to play very much. I have McDavid rifling through that line as well. I'm basically double shifting McDavid all game in a must-win playoff game, and that basically lets your depth chart look like McDavid, Neal, Kassian, then you got the trio of Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, Yamamoto. You could basically just keep running McDavid, Athanasiou, Archibald, and your fourth line is sort of just your mop-up line that you use to eat minutes, get pucks deep, be good in the defensive zone, and it's Sheahan, Kara, and Chason. It's slow, but who cares?
Rick, you got to figure out.
For any reason, would you consider carrying or dressing 7 defensemen then?
But you're
and going 11 forwards, obviously.
Yeah, but who's going to bring you more value? Gaetan Haas, who, I mean, maybe you even swap that and put Haas on that line to give it some speed with Sheahan and Chason, and Kara's sort of the odd man out. I like the versatility up front, because if you dress Bouchard, like, where's he really going to play?
They don't really fit in. I do agree there. It doesn't really fit in. I just thinking, it may open the door to something. Maybe if it's worth having Larson in the lineup for 8 minutes, but, not having to...
No,
maybe, and I don't really know, right? I'm just kind of just trying to think about that.
Dan, what do you think?
I
actually, to be honest, I like Tyler's lines. I would love to see Tippett reunite Nugent-Hopkins. That line was the hottest line in hockey. I would love to see it. I don't mind Neal and Kassian with Connor. It might get Kassian more engaged. And then the bottom 6 is kind of like a little bit of a mishmash here and there. I like double shifting Connor. I could watch him all day. But Dan, what do you think?
Well, I see the mentality, and I get it, because you win today and then you figure out your problems tomorrow. But I guess my fear is just that Connor is going to get burned out. But again, it's Connor.
Guys, don't forget, we can also double check. We can also double shift the Art Ross Trophy winner.
Yeah.
The most likely the Hart win.
I know. That's what I said. Like I said, it's a problem for tomorrow, and that's the way that this series is kind of structured with the back-to-back games 4 and game 5. So you win Friday, and then you figure out what you can do on Saturday. But I think more interesting to me is if Larson is okay to go for game 4, which I don't think we have any indication as to whether he is or not. I kind of hope Caleb Jones stays in the lineup. I liked his game, and I don't think he's a bad guy to have in our lineup. Maybe a Chris Russell comes out of the lineup. I don't know, but that's just me pondering out loud.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because also if we're talking about double shifting and maybe doing Tyler's idea of mixing it up a little bit, you could also throw Nuge at shifts at center as well if need be. So the Oilers aren't short on centermen. You can double shift Connor, you can double shift Leon, you can throw Nuge the odd shift at center if they need. There's options. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that the Adam Larson question mark is going to be another interesting one, because I think that in Game 3, the Oilers especially missed him when it was time to really lock things down at the end of the game. And in terms of shutdown defensemen on this roster, he's kind of one of the guys that's a warrior for them. He'll block a shot, he'll use the body, he'll be physical, and that was a big hole for them.
Well, he's been off. Like I feel like I don't feel like we've seen Adam Larson of the regular season yet in this series. So I think that whatever he's dealing with, I think has been lingering. I have to hope because you're right. He's that guy that we can count on to put out on the in the oh shit defense of trying to hold on to a 1-goal lead, and he wasn't out there, and so that side of the ice was just that little bit weaker.
Another thing I want to talk about, looking ahead at Game 4, who starts in net? I was talking before we started recording, I was talking to friend of the nation, friend to everybody, Reed Wilkins. And he's like, this is just purely me guessing, but I think Tippett will go to Mike Smith in Game 4.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one of those ones where Game 1 didn't go well. And I'm not hanging all 5 goals on Mike Smith by any chance. Maybe they go back to the veteran and see if he can't bring a little bit of passion to the Oilers from the crease on out. What do you guys think?
Yep. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I personally don't know who I'd go with. You could probably convince me either way. I'd rather fence sitting on this, as I think like in December, I kind of gave up on trying to decide on who I thought should be in net because I was usually wrong and the coach was usually right. So, I just kind of let him go with it. But the way the season's gone, I would have to think that he's going to go with Smith, just like if it was vice versa, he'd be going with Koskinen. It was just kind of next man up type of a situation. And that's where we're at. And you don't really change your game plan at this point of the year just because the game is, it could be your last. I think you stick with how you got there and just hope for the best.
I would go.
Sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to jump right in. For me, like Koskinen's probably the safe play. I think by starting Mikko Koskinen, you're kind of just going, hey, he's going to give up 3. Let's hope he doesn't give up the 4th, and let's hope our offense can score him 4 or 5. Mike Smith gives you the best chance to steal a game. He also gives you the chance to potentially cost you the game. And that's kind of the way I look at the decision. With that being said, Tippett has a good read on Smith, I think. I think he generally, for majority of the time, knows what he's going to get out of his guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes right back to the goalie who's clearly been his favorite this whole time. He always gives him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he'll do it again here in Game 4.
Boys, this is going to be a moment we're going to look back on in our Stanley Cup Champions DVD, and we're going to say, you know what? Tippett just knew. And it's one of those things that you put Smith out there, and he puts up a stink egg, and we lose Game 4, and we win Lafreniere, and we say we bid adieu to Mike Smith in the summer, and it's a new slate. He comes in and he tears down the house, and the Blackhawks can't score on him, and he's robbing them right, left, and center. All of a sudden, this team is engaged, fired up, and ready to go for Game 5 as well. It's if you put Koskinen out there, and he has another game where he lets in 4 goals. Then I don't know if it sets you up properly for Game 5. I just think that there's something in this, like we said, save for December this year. Dave Tippett and that coaching staff has had the pulse of these 2 goalies going back and forth. Now he started Mike Smith start this series, didn't go well. It happens, but I think that the plan was always to see both of these goalies going back and forth in the net. And I don't think that changes anytime here soon. So I think that Mike Smith going into the net is a great thing. It's going to turn out well for us. And you can play this tape back next week if it doesn't.
Does he consider the back-to-back at all?
Yeah,
well,
that's another question, right?
So what you're saying is you're saying you want Koskinen to be your goalie in Game 5.
I think that's the play, right? Like Koskinen hasn't been horrible. Smith hasn't been horrible.
So are you playing, or do you think he's going to play Smith today because he wants Koskinen on Saturday? Or do you think he's going to play Koskinen he wants Koskinen in Game 5 in the do or die game, and therefore he doesn't want him playing back-to-back. Therefore, Smith has to play this one.
I think that there's like 50-50, right? Like there's no black and white here. We've said it before. Dave Tippett trusts Mike Smith more than he trusts Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah.
So that plays into it. And then the back-to-back thing, how many times have the Oilers gone back-to-back with their goalies in the same game? I think once this year, and it was Koskinen had 2 games, or Smith had 2 games back-to-back. Like, I just don't think that they do it very often. So that's just not the way that these goalies have worked. It's not what's worked for them this season. We've been really good in the second game of back-to-backs this year. I don't think you mess with it.
If you subscribe to the theory that Dave Tippett enjoys or likes having Mike Smith in the net more and that's his boy, his excuses for going with Mike Smith are pretty built in. Not that he would have to explain himself, but if he goes with Mike Smith in game 4 and they lose, and everyone's like, why didn't you start Koskinen? He'd go, I wasn't going to start both of them in back-to-backs. I had to start Smith in one of them. I decided to make it game 4. There's his excuse. If he actually wants to keep Mike Smith for the next 2 games, which I think he does, and if they go to game 5, I think he'll start Smith in both of them. He'll go, why would I mess with what's not working? Chicago didn't change their goalie because we know they're going Crawford twice. So he's going to come out and say, I had to go with Smith twice. He's the hot hand. It's the playoffs. You start the goalie who wins. I think no matter what, we're going to see Smith in one, and if we get 2 more games, we're getting Smith in both.
I think no matter what, I personally think he's going to go to Mike Smith in game 4. I just think that, and another thing here too, let's not forget these guys are all locked in a hotel right now. Mike Smith is lobbying like fuck to get the start in game 4, and probably also in game 5, even though we're not even ahead of game 4 yet.
Do you think he gets in game 5? Do you think he gets both?
Yeah, he would.
No. I don't know.
I honestly don't know. Because to be honest, the reality for me is I can't even begin to think about game 5 without killing game 4 first.
Yeah.
And we're hours away. And I almost wonder if that's been a problem. Do you guys like how I keep changing timelines here?
Yeah. They're just all over the place, and I love it. You hop in the DeLorean, you come back, you go forward. It's good.
By the way, there's a DeLorean in my hood. I just saw it the other day. It's fantastic. No. I love it. But I can't see Smith only getting that one game in this series. I think that he's going to get game 4. And depending on what happens today, game 4 today, we'll see what happens for game 5. But I almost wonder if there's been a point where the Oilers have looked ahead beyond the task at hand, and I'm not prepared to do that. What needs to get done is game 4. What needs to be a win.
As a coach, I think you have to sort of kind of consider it. Maybe not. It's not on the front plate, but it's something that you need to just kind of glance at and just give it a quick thought about. Because if you are a guy who goes back and forth, both games are do or die. But it's 50. It's hindsight's 20/20 at the end of it. But you kind of have to think about it a little bit.
It's going to be an interesting decision to see. And you know what's going to be interesting also? No matter which goalie plays game 4, Oilers Twitter is going to be mad for one way or another.
Oh, it's going to, yeah. It's going to get ugly.
No, it's never ugly though. A delicious meal delivered right to your house from our friends at skipthedishes.ca. I, myself, ordered a delicious donair the other day. Came to me, hot, ready, some nice fries, gravy. What I do, Tyler, when I order my donairs, I throw a couple of banana peppers on there. Ooh. I like to treat myself. Nice
little zing in there. I like it. Nice flavor combo. Nice flavor combo.
Yeah, the profiles are all coming together. A nice sweet sauce, a little bit of zing from the banana peppers.
And that cheese.
Of course. Our friends at skipthedishes.ca brought it right to me. I tipped the driver. He was very, very nice. Left it on my door, waved at me through the window. Safe, delicious, ready to go when I needed it. Thank you to skipthedishes.ca for jumping in on the podcast, as always, and keeping Edmontonians fed from thousands of local restaurants around the city. We're previewing Game 4 here on episode 98 of Oilers Nation Radio. We've talked a lot of shit so far, things that went wrong. I want to talk about positives. I want to look at some bright sides that are going into Game 4. To me, the biggest one is the Giant awoke in Game 3. Leon Draisaitl had a huge game. 3 points. He had a couple of goals. You can't keep him off the score sheet for long. He was quiet in game 2, rebounded nicely in game 3. Won me some money, by the way. I believed in Leon. I bet that he would get over 1.5 points. He did. Made me look good. I also bet that he'd get over 2.5 shots. He did. He got 3 in the first period. So Leon came through for me. I think he is a big bright side going into game 4. I think he and McDavid are both going to be very motivated, and that could be scary for the Blackhawks. Positives, gentlemen, what are you looking at for the game? What is there to be excited about?
Well, I think Tyler's already said it. Maybe I'm stealing it from him, but they haven't played their A game yet. So you go out, you play 3 games against the 12 seed Chicago Blackhawks. You win playing a C, B effort. You lose playing an F effort. And then, last night was a D, I guess. So you haven't played your best game yet. You know you're capable of playing that game. I would argue that they haven't played a good game since they came back from the bubble. Including that Calgary game. They didn't play very well. They won that game. But yeah, I think the big positive for me is that the Oilers still have yet to play a complete game. They're capable of doing it. Whether they do it remains to be seen later tonight.
That's right. Today is Friday, as we all know. Tyler?
I think that's the biggest takeaway. Look at all the Oilers who have given pedestrian efforts. And yesterday I argued with Wanye a bit about this on Real Life, but McDavid hasn't been dominant at 5-on-5. He's been good, but he hasn't, he's had his moments, I should say, right? There's been 5-minute stretches where you go, yeah, McDavid's dialed in, but he hasn't given us that full 60 minutes of wow, Connor McDavid has taken over this game at 5-on-5. I just haven't seen that yet. Same thing with Draisaitl. He's had some good moments, had some good games, but we haven't had the every shift there's a scoring chance kind of thing that we've seen from both those guys. You look at Kassian, hasn't brought it. You look at Clefbaum, he hasn't brought it. You look at Darnell Nurse, he was good through 2 games, and then I thought last game he was a little bit weaker. Ethan Bear had his rough moment as well. There's been so many. Go through the entire lineup if you want. No one sat there and been wow, they are playing their best hockey right now. What are the odds that we get a 4th straight game of, man, no one's bringing us their best hockey? I think the Oilers are due for a good game. We haven't seen them go on a ton of extended losing streaks throughout the season, except for in December. I just think they're due to have a really, really good game, and that's my biggest positive. I know it sounds kind of cheap and homerish to just say, kind of trust the system, trust that the Oilers are good enough to put together a strong 60 minutes of 5-on-5 hockey, but I honestly think that's what I think that's what you have to do, and that has to be the biggest positive you're looking for.
Rick, what do you got for positives going into game 4?
Yeah, you guys nailed it right there. That we still have a long ways to go to get to our best, and I think they've been playing near their best, most of, at least in the first game there. We've got a lot more to give. There's definitely some players out there individually who are playing better than maybe expected going in. I'll give you got to give them credit where the credit's due, but it's just there's still more to give. There's still more to give, and they haven't gone on a couple 4 or 5 game streaks where they just don't look very good. So
you left us in limbo.
I thought I was in limbo.
I thought that was
Rick's
a pregnant pause there, that we were just going to be this is going to be some insightful business right here.
Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah, we froze when you said they still got some more to give.
It was a pregnant pause.
I looked up and everybody was all the screens went away.
We were. I was expecting some real wisdom to come out here, and I just want to also throw this out there. I very, very highly doubt the Oilers are going to be. I highly doubt that the Oilers are going to show the same lack of discipline in Game 4 as we saw in Game 3. I doubt it. I assume Dave Tippett ripped them for it. And yes, some of those calls. I mean, I tweeted it. The Athanasiou holding call on Patrick Kane was just garbage. It was just complete bullshit.
Chris Russell wasn't allowed to touch a player.
Russell wasn't allowed to pin a guy or hold him back a little bit. Give me a break. This is the playoffs. Normally you can cut a guy's leg off and you don't get called for it. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Oilers are still better on special teams. And
don't they have better numbers everywhere so far?
That I don't know, Tyler. You probably confirm that or not.
I can't remember what tweet I saw. It was maybe Wheat and Oil or something like that. was breaking down like 5-on-5 percentage and then special teams percentage, and the only place they beat us was on save percentage.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look it all up.
So I've got Wheaton Oil. Again, if you don't follow him on Twitter, you definitely should. 3 games into the series, 5-on-5 score adjusted. Oilers have better shot attempts, 51%. High danger shot attempts, 61%. Expected goals, 57.5. And they're losing, but they are losing on save percentage.
Yeah,
which is bad because Corey Crawford is 889, which is, again, shoot at him from fucking Ford Hall.
Oh, just everywhere.
And this is why I say, like, this is why I feel like, and I hate using the word because it's so easy to tear down, but it's just bad luck. Like, we're beating them everywhere statistically, except for, instead of save percentage, and yet we're down 2-1. Like, they need to just keep going and knock it down on themselves.
They also need to limit the opportunities in front of the net. The Blackhawks had 4 posts last night, and I'm not talking about posts where it's like outside of the post. We're talking about shots that go off the post and then they slide through the crease kind of shit. Like, it's this team top to bottom, every single player, it's been said again and again, has not played their best game, and they have to. But, just even to bail out the Mikko Koskinen and the Mike Smiths from those second and third chances where that game could have been out of hand if they had put in half of those goals. So it's just...
Well, I think, Dan, that goes to what we were talking about earlier, that they weren't playing a simple game. A lot of times they were trying to sneak a pass through or force a pass through that maybe wasn't there rather than looking for a 6-foot outlet. It happened on the power play right at the beginning where they were trying to do the cross ice thing. When it connects and it goes in, it's beautiful, and we all love to watch it on the highlight reels. But the reality is the Oilers got beat by the Blackhawks getting pucks on net last night. In the third period, they got 2 deflection goals that ended up being the Oilers' demise. They weren't pretty plays. They were ugly, simple plays. And the Oilers have an opportunity to do that themselves. And if they can stay disciplined, which I fully expect to happen, and they can continue rolling on the power play, which I have no reason to believe that they won't, then we're looking at a better opportunity for success. And what that would also do is relieve the pressure on your goaltender a little bit.
Yeah.
It would be nice not to have just that constant stress of, holy fuck, they are getting dummied in their own zone for minutes at a time. Like, keep it simple, boys.
I think
off the glass and out if you have to. Let's use our heads. Let's walk before we run. Let's get through game 4. I think there's plenty to be positive about. This series is not over. Beating the Blackhawks 2 straight games is fucking doable.
It's 100% doable.
Got to start simple. Tyler, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, in terms of, like, looking at the game itself and kind of eliminating all the other storylines, if you had to list the keys for the Oilers' victory, yes, goaltending. Yes, everyone needs to be better at 5-on-5. Yes, they need energy from Kassian. But would you say that Dave Tippett, the one thing he should be writing on that whiteboard is pucks on net? Like, I think that's got to be the number one key, right?
Yes.
Well, how do you go from the game 2 where you figured it out? You see that shooting the pucks at the net gets you goals. And then even further, you watch the Blackhawks doing it to you. Yeah. Like, that third period was just an absolute shooting fest. And they finally score on some guy that we're never going to hear about again after this playoff run. Goodwin or I don't even remember his name. I'm thinking of a baseball player. Yeah, Highmore. Like,
good one.
I'm actually doing a baseball game right now. That's what I'm thinking of. But anyways, it's a guy that you're just never going to hear about again. But he got a stick on a puck, and it went past Mikko Koskinen, who was in position for the original shot. And that's just the way it is. So you can't look at these games and these results and not think, if I get some more pucks on the net, things are going to go well for me. It's so simple. And if Tippett doesn't have that on the whiteboard, he's screaming it at them every minute of the day.
Well, even looking at this point exactly, Leon Draisaitl's second goal was a result of a wild rebound that Corey Crawford just had no idea where it was going. He was laying flat on his face, and Leon just buried it. But it comes from the point shot initially. Pucks on net, boys. Play a simple game.
Do we need a shoot guy in the stands? Is that what we
need?
want?
A shoot guy.
That's what I've been begging for.
I'm going to text Ryder right now. I'm going to text Ryder right now and get DJ Tycho to add a shoot button on that board.
EA Sports guy to get some shoot going on in there.
Johnny Infamous.
Yeah, sorry, Johnny Infamous. Not DJ Tycho. Shout out to DJ Tycho. Both fine DJs, I'm sure. I think that shooting the puck is a major key to the game. What are your other two, Tyler?
Shooting pucks on net from everywhere. We've now dissected it a lot. Like, that's what works against Corey Crawford. Number 2 is stay disciplined. It's, tale as old as time. It's one of the biggest cliches. Stay out of the box, put pucks on net, and whoever the goalie is needs to recognize the situation they're in and deliver us a good performance. We need
to help that goalie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that goes hand in hand with pucks on net and staying disciplined. That'll allow, they all sort of tie in together, right? If you get pucks on net, you're going to be in the offensive zone more. That's going to help you stay less disciplined or stay more disciplined. If you stay more disciplined, life's going to be easier on your goaltenders, and that cycle just kind of keeps on going, right? But it all starts, it's like a trickle down. If you get pucks on net and you're good at 5-on-5 and you're dominating the possession, then you're not going to be forced to take penalties, and your goaltenders' lives are going to be much easier. Simple as that. That's the game plan. That's exactly what the Oilers are going to do when they force Game 5 tonight.
And just talking about penalties, too, I know I love to complain about the way the reffing has gone this series, but they got to try and push that out of their minds as well. They're no control of what these guys are calling. Sometimes, like last night, it's not going to be fair, but we need to move forward. They need to make sure that they're not taking dumb penalties either, because that Archibald penalty was dumb. Tyler said it. The Yamamoto penalty wasn't great. Tyler said it. These are mistakes that are avoidable.
Well, it's just so stupid because you know that the game is tight, and you're going out and you're playing on that edge instead of just scale it back a bit. The refs are on us this period. Fucking stop hitting guys without the puck. It seems pretty simple, but here we are, 4 dudes on a podcast screaming at our TVs.
Listen, we've got this all figured out. And the fact that nobody asked our opinion is a shock to me.
It's a joke, really.
Why hasn't Tippett called us yet?
Listen, you don't even have to call. You can DM me. You can DM me tips. Just slide into the DMs. They're open for everybody. I will give you my 2 cents. All right. Well, it's a big game. The first elimination game that we've had in a while. The stress is going to be real.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what is also going to be real?
My ulcer?
Rick's ulcer? The 50-50 that is going to happen. Because on Wednesday, they capped it at $5.4 million 6 hours before puck drop. 6 hours before puck drop. And I can't even imagine what it would have gotten to. But like I said, friend of the nation, Reed Wilkins, he came through with a big one. OEG's Tim Shipton says that the Oilers will be increasing capacity 2.5 times for the 50-50 for Game 4. 2.5 times. So I'm bad at math, but 5.4 times 2.5 is probably like $35 million or something. I know is that this pot is going to be massive.
Well, see, here's the thing. So the reason that they stopped the 50-50, at least according to what they told us, is that they ran out of digital numbers to give out. So you understand that to be, okay, they've added in a new auction. If you haven't bought 50-50 tickets yet this year, you now can buy 200 tickets,
Hell yeah.
100 digital numbers for $50.
Oh.
So I think that really throws off. Imagine if they do that in the game, and you can walk around the concourse of Rogers and have the tickets printers print out 50 or 200 numbers for you. But anyways, so that skewers the numbers there. So you got to think that they had about 10 million numbers available, right? Like that's it. So now you're saying that they have 25 million numbers available to them for us to go ahead and buy. This 50-50 is going to be astronomical, and shout out to us for not even coming close to the top.
I was going to say.
And I was the low guy at 400,000.
You can make James Neal's yearly salary tonight.
Yes.
Tonight, which is Friday.
I believe.
I
more.
You can make more. You can make more. It's going to be like near $12 million. That's nearly $6 million.
And you have to do less than Milan Lucic did.
I don't know if that's possible. I think putting your credit card on the line and risking it all for the 50-50 is more than what Milan did here in his last season.
Putting up the same amount of points as Reeder did last year.
But what I want to know is, like, how much fun is it just to talk complete nonsense about the 50-50? I love it. I've basically turned the Nation account into 50-50 watch. Dan made a great meme the other day where it was like, it was the Panda watch from Anchorman, but we're turning into 50-50 watch. It's hilarious to me. I love it.
I'll set that one up to be posted at 9 a.m. this morning, just so that we can have it going right off the bat.
That's right, of course. Again, if you are playing the 50-50, good luck. If you win it, give us some money. You're getting this podcast for free. All we ask is you give us some money. Seems fair.
And if you don't win the 50-50, you can still help us out by reviewing and subscribing on iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, for free.
There you go.
For free.
There you go. Tyler, it is time. We've got 10 minutes left in the podcast. It is time to look at the last week, the Oodle Noodle hot and cold performers of the week. I want to go ahead and give Oodle Noodle a shout out. If you dine in at any of their 14, that's right, now 14 locations, they're donating 10% of those sales to local charities and initiatives. Location 14 out in the Hamptons just opened this week. They're very excited about that. So go get yourself something to eat. Know that you're doing it for a great cause. And shout out to our friends at Oodle Noodle. Again, 10% of dine-in and curbside orders are being donated to local charities and initiatives. They have done a great thing these past few months with these donations. So we've actually had some hockey to talk about over the last week. I'm starting with the cold performers of the week, as I always do. Rick, looking at the last 7 days of your life, Oodle Noodle cold performer.
Well, I think we're going to go back to the old days, right? When this is about hockey.
We're talking hockey, buddy.
All right, good. I like that. You know what? It's. I know it sounds like an excuse, but it is a real thing. I'm not blaming it all on this, but this is definitely part of it, and just bad luck. Pucks going being tipped that are going in. They're not working for us. That one off Taves' foot last night somehow just sneaks through. It's just we need, we keep rolling sevens here. It's time for us to get on a bit of a run and make some money on the board.
Worse.
One more time. What was that one?
Worse.
Nation Dan, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week.
Well, I was going to say MLB, and I was going to say for not having instituted a mask policy, but I'll keep that to myself. My cold performer of the week, hockey related. It's, I don't know, I feel like we're piling on, but it's Zach Kassian. He hasn't been playoff Zach Kassian yet. We need that from him. We need him to be the guy that's playing on the edge, him the guy that's dancing that line that Kyler Yamamoto has been dancing all along. You need playoff Kassian. So right now, because we don't have playoff Kassian, he's my cold performer of the week.
Tyler Yaremchuk, your Oodle Noodle cold performer of the week.
Man, you guys left this one for me, so I'm going to take it. It's the refs. I hate being this guy. I hate being the homer that gets mad at the refs. But so many of those calls are just so soft. And it goes back to game 2 as well, where the Oilers go on a run where they're taking penalty or they're getting called for penalty after penalty after penalty. And then Kyler Yamamoto's coming out of the zone. He's about to get a breakout pass, and there's a stick in his ribs tying up his hands, and the ref's right there, and he doesn't call it. So I'll make mine 2 parts. I'll say the Oilers' discipline does need to be better. They've been terribly undisciplined, but the refs need to figure it out, man. There's 2 teams out there. I want to see a better job from the refs. They get my cold performer of the week, and in case you can't tell,
I'm upset.
Yeah, you are. Just to wrap up, cold performer of the week. To me, I'm going back to unfit to play. I want to know what's going on with Adam Larson. I don't like that the NHL is allowing and I know that this happens in the playoffs every year, so get out of my fucking mentions. But I don't like that they just created this term this year, unfit to play, that can literally blanket everything. It could be, you could have a guy get chopped in half by some kind of rogue scythe that comes through, sweeping from the roof that nobody knows where it came from, and it cut a man in half. And people will be like, "Where's this guy?" And the coach just says, "Well, unfit to play." And I don't like it. I want a little transparency. NHL, we can do better than this. Unfit to play, cold performer of the week. Flipping the ledger, we're going to look at some positives. We're going to end off this week's podcast looking at some positives, the hot performers from the past 7 days. I'm going to start with Tyler this time around. Mr. Yaremchuk, your hot performer of the week.
It's going to be James Neal. He wrote a piece in the Players Tribune about, what playing playoff hockey means to him, how bad he wants to win a Stanley Cup, and how he wants to prove to Oilers fans that he is a playoff performer. And honestly, I think we've seen that so far. I've been really impressed with Neal. He's been hard on the forecheck. He's been, a little dirty at times, mixing things up after the whistle a little. He's been getting scoring chances, forcing turnovers, everything. So for me, Neal's been one of their better performers so far through 3 games, so he gets my hot performer of the week.
I like this right here.
You know what? A couple of goals for James Neal. Got to like it. Need a big one in Game 4 from you, buddy. $1 million smile will go a long way after a goal. Nation Dan, your hot performer of the week.
Well, honorable mention goes to Austin Matthews for calling out Steve Simmons for the COVID diagnosis that Steve Simmons let go. But my hot performer of the week.
And also, Dan, he called him out and then answered his question.
He did it in the most hockey player way he possibly could. It was all polite and very calm and cool. But yeah, and then he answers the question. But anyways, my hot performer of the week is actually somebody brand new to the nation. People that haven't been introduced to him yet. It's Josh Parks. And he has put together some of the best videos I've seen come from the nation. And I'm one of the people that makes videos for the nation in the past. So I'm giving him all kinds of praise here. But the opening video and then even the Game 3 video that he kind of just spliced together. Plus he's got an anthem video that we play on our Twitch stream. And he's got the hype video playing on the Twitch streams as well. Josh Park has come in, and anybody that asked me who this Josh Park is, and I said, you know what? He's an amazing kid, great guy. I'm sure he's going to get poached by somebody very soon because holy hell, those videos are amazing. Josh Park, my hot performer of the week.
Yeah!
You can't have him. He's ours. He is ours. Rick, your Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
Well, you know what? You got to give credit where credit's due sometimes. And I think one of our best defensemen so far has been the Cowboy number 4. So like I said, you got to give credit. He's played really, really well this playoffs. Not enough that I want him around next year with that contract, but don't give him credit for what he's done right now. He's doing a good job out there right now. And if everyone else is playing personally as well as he is, we might be done.
Put some respect on my name.
Just to wrap things up, my Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week. I can't believe you guys left this one right in my lap for me. I'm staying on brand. You know I am. He's got a goal and 6 assists in the first 3 games of the series. He and Connor McDavid set an Oilers playoff record. First 2 players in Oilers history to start off the playoffs with back-to-back 3-point games. My boy, rocking the duster of all dusters, looking like a filthy pirate out there. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Oodle Noodle hot performer of the week.
Cash money.
Couple of minutes left. I just want to go around the horn quickly. Game 4 predictions. And I like Tyler. I'm going to steal this from Thursday's Real Life podcast. We're going to do some not so obvious game day predictions. We're going to show up Gregor Damas here. 2 questions. Score prediction, not so obvious game day prediction. Tyler, you're on the clock.
I think we are going to get a 6-2 Oilers win, and I'll keep my prediction consistent with what I said on Real Life. I think we will get goals, 1 goal from each forward line. I think McDavid's good for 1, Draisaitl's good for 1, 1 of Sheahan, Athanasiou, and Archibald is good for 1, 1 of Neal, Kara, and Chason is good for a goal as well. The depth will come through, the 5-on-5 scoring will come through, Oilers blow them out, 6-2 the final.
Mr. Nation Dan, your score prediction and not so obvious game day prediction.
Well, mine is twofold. So I'm saying 6-0 Edmonton with Mike Smith with the shutout. This team tends to show up in that first elimination game huge, And so I think that's the score there. My not so obvious game prediction. It's selfish because I drafted him in the bit player draft, but it's Josh Archibald with a goal. I just think that he's going to be the guy that kind of steps up and helps out, pitching in from the third line, fourth line, whatever you want to say.
I like it. Rick, your game prediction and your not so obvious game day prediction.
You mentioned score, and the first thing I thought of right away was 5-2, and I like the fact that everyone else is kind of jumping on a high scoring, high goals for, low goals against type of situation here. So I'm going to stick with 5-2, and we're going to get a goal from Mr. 83, not Hemsky, but Matty Benning. He's going to get us one. So 5-2, and Matt Benning's going to grab us a goal.
I like that. Just to round things off, I'm going to say 4-2 win for our boys. We're going to see a motivated Connor and Leon. On real life, Daniel, like this, I actually said my not so obvious game day prediction was Josh Archibald's going to score.
Fuck yeah.
You just said it, so I'm going to change gears a little bit. My not so obvious game day prediction, Ethan Bear. The look of disappointment on his face after that puck deflected in off his stick last night. I won't forget it. I felt bad for the kid. He was trying to make a play. It did not go the right way. It happens. Ethan Bear is going to step up today. Big goal from the point. Game 4, Ethan Bear getting on the board. We got 4 wins around. Oilers have a massive game. It's elimination day. We all like them to win. Going into Game 5. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. From everybody at Sherwood Ford the Giants, Tourism Jasper, skipthedishes.ca, and Oodle Noodle, thank you for being here. Please subscribe, rate, comment on the podcast on Apple Podcasts, or just download wherever you get your podcasts from. From all of us, I want to say enjoy the game. Have a great weekend. Good luck with the 50-50. Go Oilers.
Shout out Damien.
Damn it.
Button delay.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.